The purpose of this video is to answer the one question that's gotta be burning in Dale and Linda's minds right now. Oh no, why in the hell did you give us a red light therapy device for Christmas? This is so weird. We're probably not going to use this thing. What are we going to do with the light panel? Before we get into what red light therapy is all about, let's talk about what it isn't. It's not a beauty device, and it will not tan your skin. That is not why we bought this for you, Dale and Linda. You're beautiful enough as it is.
Although, I should point out, it will likely reduce wrinkles, and it will likely increase your collagen.
Yes, time and time again, studies indicate that the vast amount of subjects reported improved skin tone and enhanced smoothness of skin. But again, that is not why we bought this for you.
One more thing about red light therapy that it's not space lasers. It's not any crazy new technology that we've never had before. It's just LED lights, really bright LED lights, that's all. It's just red and infrared light, just like we get from the sun. It's all the best healing parts of the sun without all that harmful UV. Really, the only safety precautions you need to know about red light therapy is just simply to treat it like the sun. Don't get too much of it, don't stare directly at it, and don't get too close. Different wavelengths of light provide different benefits. We'll get into all the benefits later, but you can see on the screen here just some of those listed. And when I say this is nothing new, I truly mean it. This lovely lady right here, she's been giving out free red light therapy sessions every single day for ages. Now, you'd actually be a hell of a lot better off just taking your shirt off outside for sunrise or sunset when the UV index is 0. But what the hell would the neighbors think? All we've done with this technology is brought the best parts of sunlight inside. We plug it in and get it in there. And one other thing red light therapy isn't, it's not just for professional athletes. You might have noticed the 49ers spent $500,000 on this recovery suite in 2020. You might be left wondering, is this a long-term investment strategy to save money on vitamin D drops? Or is there more benefits to light than we've ever been taught? And you may have noticed in 2018, the Clemson Tigers spent a lot of money on their applied science lab where they started using state-of-the-art infrared cocoon pods, and they happened to win the national championship that season. Probably just a coincidence, right? No, it's definitely not just for professional athletes. It's being sold for everything. You got to be left wondering, are all these people insane? Are they just wasting their money on something that doesn't work? Or are you just not part of the light revolution in health that's going on right now? Definitely not just a beauty device. It's not space lasers or any crazy technology. It's not just for professional athletes. And it is perfectly safe and side effect free if you're using it as intended. And it is an all-around health device. It may increase your lifespan and your health span. And it may even be the cure for cancer. What? Okay, so let's get into it. What does it actually do? Does it do anything? What does the science say? Basically, all you need to know is that it increases our body's production of ATP, which is a key element in cellular regeneration.
Now, in addition to giving us energy through ATP, it also stimulates healing and regeneration in tissue by acting on cytochrome C oxidase in our mitochondria.
Now, this is basically all you need to know at the high level, that human photosynthesis is real. And just like we get energy from food, well, by different mechanisms, we also get energy from light. And it drives different biochemical reactions in our body.
Now, you don't have to be a physicist to understand this next part. I know we certainly ain't. But the first law of thermodynamics is that energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. So if you think when that red light panel is shining on you, that all it's doing is illuminating your skin with red and infrared light, and that nothing happens to that energy after it hits your skin, well, that defies the laws of our universe. We derive benefit from light in the same way that plants do.
All right, so let's get into some of the actual studies. Now, I've only read through a couple hundred of these studies so far, but I've read enough to know that honestly, every single person that I know and care for should be doing red light therapy every day for greater health and happiness. Now, first and foremost, no study that I've seen has shown a single side effect from red light therapy, aka photobiomodulation. This one here clearly states LED phototherapy is easy to apply, it's pain-free, and it's side effect-free, and it's well tolerated by patients of all skin types. Now, this great meta-analysis from 2017 from Hamblin clearly demonstrates a lot of benefits related to inflammation, wound healing, arthritis, muscle performance, lung inflammation and pain, brain and spinal injuries, autoimmune diseases, abdominal fat, psoriasis, arthritis, and alopecia. And this study here indicates it may have great value to control diabetes. It can decrease pain and morning stiffness and increase hand flexibility in those with arthritis. And when treated on the scalp, it can significantly improve hair counts.
Among the many skin conditions that this has been shown to treat effectively, it treats rosacea, and most of the patients experienced a positive impact on their self-perception and emotional well-being. So not only did they look better, but they also feel better and are happier. Now, it's definitely not just that one study of rosacea patients where they became happier. This review from 2019 looks at 7 different studies, all done on humans, and transcranial photobiomodulation's effect on their depression scores. And every single one of the 7 studies showed significant decreases in the depression symptoms. And in the 4th bullet point down there, the 5th bullet point down, you'll notice 92% of the patients responded to the treatment, and 82% were in remission from their depression entirely. It also is really good for pain relief, and it's good for just about any type of pain you have. Non-specific knee pain demonstrated 50% improvement in pain scores. Osteoarthritis, hip surgeries. They tested patients after hip surgeries, and those that received photobiomodulation treatment, they had an 82% greater reduction in pain than the placebo group. It's good for fibromyalgia, temporomandibular disorders, and acute neck pain. And in this study, they showed the effects of photobiomodulation compared to ultrasound therapy, which is just sending sound waves through the body. And both of those were good at treating pain, disability, and performance, but only the range of motion was significantly improved in the photobiomodulation group. And not only does it appear to be great for low back pain, but it seems to make patients more confident in their ability to perform physical activity and do work. And how about this one, Dale? This is for you. It's even good at removing brain waste clearance following brain trauma or surgery. So many studies have reported effects following brain trauma in improving tissue healing, reducing inflammation, reducing edema, restoring blood flow, and inducing analgesia, so pain relief. And it also improves cognitive function. And how awesome is this? It can even be an effective preventative measure against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. And yet another study showing a significant increase in cognitive abilities. And it's not just 1 or 2 studies that point to the cognitive increases that are obtained from red light therapy. But this review from 2020 looked at all the available research and found that it could definitely be useful in the fight against Alzheimer's. And at this point, red light therapy related to Alzheimer's and anything else, it's not a question of if it actually works. It does. It's just they're trying to bridge the gap between what the scientists know to be true, who are actually working on this stuff, and the actual medical practitioners who are not exposed to these highly specialized journals. And in order for this to be most effective for increasing cognitive abilities and reducing your chances of getting Alzheimer's or any neurodegenerative diseases, and depression and things like that. It's good to do it transcranially, which just means get it at your forehead and your temples. Your temples are the least thick areas of your skull, and furthermore that the 660 and 810 nanometer wavelengths are both included in your device, and those appear to be in combination to be the most effective at penetrating and reaching into the brain.
And the next thing I'm about to share with you is my ultimate favorite. I don't 100% believe that it's true, but boy, it certainly seems like it could be. Now, I bought this book, The Fourth Phase of Water by Dr. Gerald Pollack. I'll get in more to the fourth phase of water in a second, but now Dr. Gerald Pollack from the University of Washington's Bioengineering Department has theorized that red light therapy could be the cure for cancer. Specifically, his hypothesis is that the ultimate cause of cancer could be a sustained reduction in the amount of EZ water. Now, what the hell is EZ water?
Now, there has been proven to be a fourth phase of water apart from the ones that we're familiar with. This just happened recently within about 15 years, so not many people have heard about it. I hadn't until just recently. And it's called EZ water. EZ stands for exclusion zone, and it's different than water in that it's semi-crystalline in structure.
So basically, every cell in our body has water in it, and every protein within our cells is supposed to have a nice exclusion zone around it. Now, what he's found in his lab down at the University of Washington is that whenever water is present next to a hydrophilic surface, meaning every protein in our cells is hydrophilic, it has an exclusion zone around it. This is a negatively charged zone. It's called exclusion zone because it pushes out other contaminants and particles, and it holds a net negative charge. Now, human beings by our nature are supposed to always carry a net negative charge in our bodies. We get this from standing barefoot on the ground. As crazy as that sounds, we get electrons from the earth, and we also get electrons from infrared light, and those electrons are stored as exclusion zone water in our cells. See, the problem is with our current indoor lifestyle where we spend 95% of our time indoors, we do not get enough exclusion zone in our water network in our cells. And according to Dr. Pollack's theory, it is that when we do not have enough net negative charge in our system, that exclusion zone gets down to next to nothing, and that's when our cells think something is wrong, and they start to replicate and divide, aka they become cancerous cells. Now, it seems crazy to think that we can actually store energy in water. That's pretty remarkable. Dr. Pollack and his team have stored electrons in water, and they hook diodes up to the positive and negative areas of that water and are able to light a light bulb from that stored energy in water. And we have that same storage capacity of electrons in our water network in our body. It's a pretty cool thing. Now, I realize it's pretty far-fetched to say that infrared light or lack of infrared light is the cause of cancer, but it's pretty cool to see he's actually shared this information with a few of his colleagues. One of them was an oncologist in Germany. He had young women patients with cancers on their face, and they didn't want to have surgery because obviously that would disfigure them. And he's been treating them with infrared light, and he says it's remarkable. The cancer just disappears. Now, that's just one anecdotal story. Surely nobody's going to believe anything just based off of that. So you can start looking. Go to PubMed and look up photobiomodulation and cancer, and you'll see study after study where the reactive oxygen species generated by infrared light induce selective tumor destruction. And yet another study that indicates photobiomodulation can raise the standard of care and improve quality of life of cancer patients for a fraction of the cost of many of the current approaches. And yet another study indicating that there is robust evidence for using red light therapy to treat a broad range of complications in cancer care. And another study that found that using light at the 633 nanometer wavelength, which is one of the wavelength ranges that is included in your device, It can ablate tumors. And furthermore, that induces a superoxide burst in the electron transport chain, which produces oxidative damage against cancer cells. And another study I found, the significant and growing literature indicates that photobiomodulation is safe and effective, and it may even offer a benefit in overall survival rates of cancer patients. Now, this is nothing new. There's been some old studies that indicated laser energy has a selective effect on malignant tumors, resulting in their progressive regression and ultimate dissolution. And as far back as the 1700s even, there were cases of cancerous growths being cured by using sun baths. And also, that sunlight concentrated through a lens accelerated wound healing and also destroyed tumors.
Now, it's not just Pollack's hypothesis. Dr. Jack Kruse has the same hypothesis that humans actually evolved cancer in order to survive, and that cancerous cells are actually only dividing because they're trying to grow towards the light. And studies show that cancer is actually the most prevalent in those that consistently have a poor light environment and avoid the sun.
Now, my story, for what it's worth, and I feel like it's worth sharing. In October of 2022, my primary care physician referred me to a dermatologist because he found 3 growths that he wasn't sure about. And I, like most people, just put it off for a long time and finally ended up making an appointment midway through the next year. And coincidentally, in May of this year, I started doing red light therapy every single day. And by the time that I actually went to my appointment in September, the dermatologist did not find any of those 3 growths on me, and she couldn't explain where they went. Now, that's just a brief overview of some of the studies that are my favorite that I've seen, as well as that major bomb drop on potential cure for cancer that I thought worth sharing. So at this point, if you have 1,000 hours to spare, you can go to PubMed and start looking at all the studies. When I say 1,000 hours, I literally mean that. There's 3,000 studies. So if you spent just 20 minutes reviewing each study on photobiomodulation, it would take you 1,000 hours. So you can go start looking up photobiomodulation cancer, photobiomodulation pain, Alzheimer's, muscle, whatever you want to look up. Go see for yourself. It's crazy. So there's all these studies on red light therapy and it has all these benefits. Why don't more people know about it? To answer that question, I'll just play this clip from a pretty good YouTube video on the subject.
So you might be asking yourself at this point, Kyle, why doesn't more people know about this? Why isn't this like widely spread? So I had that exact same question too. So I asked Ari, and here's what he said.
There's been a couple barriers. So one is a barrier of thought. For example, I'll give you another example. Sauna therapy is incredible. Saunas have a massive amount of evidence showing really, really powerful protective effects against, for example, cardiovascular disease and neurological disease and depression. Why don't psychiatrists or psychologists ever prescribe people to use saunas? It's because it's outside of the domain of what conventional medical doctors are even educated on.
The other reason, in my opinion, is because this is a cutting-edge science that only top athletes and entrepreneurs and CEOs are using, and this science has not gotten the attention that it deserves.
If it were a drug that were proven to have all these effects, it would be insane how much attention would be on this drug. It would be the best-selling drug of all time. Nothing would even come close because it would be prescribed to basically everyone. Most regular people would react with a weird look if you told them, hey, I want you to take this big light panel and go sit in front of it. So one is basically just culturally accepted, one is not, and that has a huge impact on people's thinking and what they will feel motivated to do. People will go pop pills endlessly, whether prescription drugs or supplements, but it's weird to go buy a light panel.
So what Ari said there is kind of a half-truth, in my opinion. If it were a drug, that it would be the best-selling drug of all time. The truth of the matter is, if they discovered a drug that did all of these things,
and I can guarantee you that Big Pharma would not release it. That would be bad for business. You see, this is the evil dragon that rules healthcare on this planet. It's sad to say, but it's true. It seems like a science fiction movie. They're profiting off of sick customers, and it's not their business model for anyone to get healthy off of anything they sell. Now, every time that a teenager gets depression, and instead of getting a light treatment, which is pain-free, side effect-free, they get to prescribe depression medications, well, a gold coin falls into this cave.
And every time a person gets cancer, ooh, jackpot. 10 gold coins fall into the cave. Look how much money oncology drugs represent. It's estimated that by 2026, it'll be $320 billion a year. I can assure you they do not want to release a cure for cancer.
And they definitely do not want everyone using red light therapy devices every day.
Now let's get into the device that you got for Christmas. Just a brief overview on it here. It's from a company called EMR Tech, and it's called the Fire Dragon. What I like about this one is it's only a foot square, and it has a really nice stand where you can position it in many different directions and carry it around the house because it's so small and lightweight to wherever you want to use it. Now the wavelength ranges on this one, it has 6 different wavelengths between 630 and 670 nanometers, which is the red light range. And the lights that look like they're off on your panel, they are actually functioning. That's just the infrared lights that are between 810 and 850 nanometers, just in case you see any studies on PubMed and you're curious about what wavelength ranges correspond to your device. And just a reminder from the previous slide that we've already seen different wavelengths of light provide different benefits. Now, I've been following a lot of the different experts on red light therapy for the past several months, and this guy here, Tristan Scott, I've spoken with him on a couple occasions, and in this post he breaks down how much red light therapy is too much. And so basically, after 30 joules, Joules, that it tends to start the damage process. So as long as you're doing no more than 20 minutes a day max per body part, you should be able to handle it safe and effectively at a distance of 12 to 24 inches.
And the further away you get from the device, the less energy you receive. So if you're 1 foot away and then you move to 2 feet away, you just doubled your distance away from the device, and that means you receive 75% less energy from it every time you double the distance away. The hardest part to get over is the barrier of thought, as Ari mentioned earlier. It's weird to stand in front of a light panel. It's not something that we associate with improving our health. We've never known anything like this to affect our body positively, and that's a hard part to get over. But if you find time to do it for 20 minutes every day, you will find yourself in greater health. Get it on your back one day while you're playing on your iPad or your computer.
And the next day, you can maybe just go and sit in front of it for 20 minutes. You don't have to wear the goggles that came with it. I think they just throw those in there as a liability measure. They don't want to get sued, but think about it this way. It's just like the sun. You don't have to wear goggles when you close your eyes facing the sun, and that has a lot more energy that would be penetrating your eyelids. There's no studies that indicate that light in these wavelength ranges, when it penetrates our eyelids, causes damage in any way. So there's no need to worry about that.
And while you're getting it on your face, maybe just rotate your head up and let it hit your neck, because that's supposed to be really great for thyroid function.
The next day, you can get it on your legs while you're doing a crossword or reading the paper.
The next day, you can angle it downwards and point it at your feet while you're working on your computer. Just make sure to get your red light in every day.
And if you use your Fire Dragon every day, you just might avoid being an unnecessary customer of this Fire Dragon.
Merry Christmas, Dale and Linda. We love you all, and we wish you a happy, cogent, pain-free, and cancer-free life.